I never believed in ghosts or demons until I inherited my great-uncle's estate in the small village of Blackwood. Nestled deep in the countryside, Blackwood was the kind of place where time seemed to stand still, where the old ways lingered, and where the night was darker than anywhere else I'd been. The estate, an imposing Victorian mansion, stood on a hill overlooking the village. Its Gothic architecture, with towering spires and intricate stonework, was both beautiful and foreboding. As I drove up the winding road, the trees seemed to close in around me, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching out to grasp my car. Upon arriving, I was greeted by Mrs. Harrow, the housekeeper, a woman in her 60s with a stern face and eyes that seemed to hold secrets. "Welcome, Mr. Thorne," she said, her voice flat. "I hope your journey was pleasant." "It was, thank you," I replied, though the truth was that I felt a growing sense of unease with every mile I travelled closer to Blackwood. Mrs. Harrow showed me to my room, a large chamber with heavy oak furniture and a 4-poster bed. The walls were adorned with portraits of my ancestors, their eyes following me as I moved about the room. As I unpacked, I noticed a faint whispering, like voices carried on the wind. But when I looked out the window, there was no one there. That night, as I lay in bed, the whispering grew louder. It was indistinct, a murmur of many voices overlapping, speaking in a language I couldn't understand. I tried to ignore it, telling myself it was just the wind or the creaking of the old house. But deep down, I knew it was something more. The next morning, I decided to explore the village. Blackwood was quaint, with cobblestone streets and thatched roof cottages, but there was an undercurrent of tension. The villagers were polite but distant, their smiles never reaching their eyes. I stopped at the local pub, the Crow's Nest, hoping to learn more about the area. The bartender, a burly man named Tom, was friendly enough. "So you're the new owner of the old Thorne place," he said, pouring me a pint. "Yes, that's right. I'm Ethan Thorne." Tom's expression darkened slightly. "Well, Mr. Thorne, I hope you find what you're looking for here. But be careful. That house has a history." "What kind of history?" I asked, leaning in. Tom glanced around, as if afraid of being overheard. "They say it's haunted. People have seen things, heard things. And there are stories about your family, things that happened long ago." Before he could say more, an old man at the end of the bar interrupted. "Don't fill his head with nonsense, Tom. The boy doesn't need to hear ghost stories." But I did. I needed to know what I was dealing with. "Please, tell me," I insisted. The old man sighed. "Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you. Your great-uncle, he was the last to live there, and he wasn't right in the head towards the end. Talked about voices, shadows, things that weren't there. And before him, your great-grandfather disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Some say he was taken by the spirits of the land." I felt a chill run down my spine. "Spirits of the land?" "Aye," the old man said. "This village was built on ancient ground sacred to the old folk. They say the dead don't rest easy here." As I left the pub, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The whispers seemed to follow me, growing louder as I approached the estate. That night, I heard footsteps in the hallway, the creak of floorboards outside my door. I opened it, but there was no one there. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw a figure, a woman in white, gliding down the corridor before vanishing into the wall. I knew then that I wasn't alone in the house, and whatever shared this space with me was not of this world. Over the next few days, the occurrences intensified. Objects moved on their own, doors slammed shut, and the temperature in certain rooms dropped suddenly, making my breath visible in the air. One night, I woke to find my bedroom mirror fogged over, with words scratched into the condensation. Fulfill the pact. My heart raced as I wiped the mirror clean, but the words seemed to linger in my mind. Desperate for answers, I decided to investigate the history of the estate and my family. In the library, I found old journals and letters hidden away in a locked drawer. The journals belonged to my great-uncle, detailing his descent into madness as he became obsessed with the supernatural entities he believed inhabited the house. One entry read, "The whispers grow louder each night. They speak of ancient pacts, of blood debts unpaid. I fear what they want from me, from us all." Another journal, older, belonged to my great-grandfather. It spoke of a ritual performed by our ancestors to gain wealth and power, a ritual that involved summoning a demonic entity and binding it to the land. The price was high, he wrote, but the rewards were great. Yet now, I fear the entity grows restless, its hunger unsated. I realized that my family had made a deal with something dark, something that now sought to claim what was owed. That evening, as I sat in the study, trying to make sense of the documents, I heard the whispers again, clearer this time. Ethan Thorne, fulfill the pact. Fulfill the pact. I looked around, but there was no one. Then, the air grew cold, and a figure materialized before me. It was a man, dressed in Victorian attire, his face pale and eyes glowing with an unearthly light. "You are the last of the line," he said, his voice a hiss. "The pact must be fulfilled, or the curse will consume you all." "What pact? What curse?" I demanded. "The blood of the Thorne family must be offered to the entity, or it will take the souls of the village. Your great-uncle tried to hide, but he could not escape. Now it is your turn." I felt a surge of fear. "I won't do it. I won't sacrifice anyone." The figure laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Then you will all suffer." With that, he vanished, leaving me alone in the study, my heart pounding. Determined to find a way to break the curse, I sought out the local historian, Mr. Graves. He was an eccentric old man who lived in a cottage filled with books and artifacts. When I told him about the pact and the entity, he nodded solemnly. "Yes, I know of it. The Thorne family made a deal with a demon known as Belial, Lord of Lies and Chaos. In exchange for wealth and influence, they agreed to offer a sacrifice every generation. But your great-uncle broke the chain, and now Belial seeks to collect. Is there a way to stop it?" I asked desperately. Mr. Graves thought for a moment. "There might be. In the old texts, it is said that the pact can be broken if one of the bloodline faces Belial and renounces the deal, but it requires great courage and sacrifice." I knew what I had to do. "Tell me how." He handed me an ancient tome. "Follow the instructions in this book. It will guide you to the ritual site, deep in the woods behind your estate. But be warned, Ethan, once you start, there is no turning back." That night, armed with the book and a lantern, I ventured into the woods. The trees were thick, their branches intertwining to block out the moonlight. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and the whispers followed me, growing louder with each step. I found the clearing described in the book, a circle of standing stones glowing with an eerie light. In the center was an altar, stained with what looked like blood. Following the instructions, I began the ritual, chanting the words from the tome. As I spoke, the ground trembled, and a rift opened in the air, from which emerged a towering figure, its form shifting between man and beast, its eyes burning with hellfire. "You dare to summon me, mortal?" Belial's voice boomed, shaking the very earth. "I renounce the pact," I shouted. "I break the chain of sacrifice. You have no claim on me or mine." Belial laughed, a sound that chilled me to the bone. "Foolish mortal, the pact is binding. Only blood can sever it." Before I could react, shadows surged from the trees, forming into grotesque shapes, demons and damned souls, all converging on me. I realized too late that I had walked into a trap. The ritual was not to break the pact, but to offer myself as the sacrifice. As the demons closed in, I heard the whispers again, now triumphant. "Ethan Thorne, your soul is ours." I fought with all my strength, but it was futile. The demons overwhelmed me, their claws tearing at my flesh, their teeth sinking into my bones. Pain unlike anything I had ever known coursed through me. But worse was the despair, the knowledge that I had failed. In my last moments, I saw the villagers, their faces twisted in horror as they witnessed my fate from the edge of the clearing. Among them was Mrs. Harrow, her eyes filled with pity and resignation. As darkness claimed me, I heard Belial's voice one last time. "The pact is fulfilled, for now." But even in death, I knew that the curse was not broken. The entity would return, and the cycle would continue, unless someone else took up the fight. My story ended in tragedy, but perhaps, in some way, it served as a warning to those who would dare to tamper with forces beyond their understanding.